wanted to first quickly thank everyone for all the love that this short got about my OC Ruse. I didn't expect so many people to love them, and it made my entire week, if I'm being honest. So thank you guys so much for that. And I hope you like this longer video, just talking about in more detail of how I created them. I have a series of characters who are all based on various different types of birds. And at the time, they had no real lore associated with any of them. They all just existed to be just some pretty boys. But this would all change with the creation of Ruse. So I first started off doodling on a sticky note at my job instead of doing, my job. And this doodle was based off of a parrot. And to make sure I made this character a little bit more unique than the other ones I had, I wanted to do 3 things a little bit different. 1, they needed to have absolutely fucked up hair. 2, too many of these characters out here that I've made are they're just so perfect and pretty, perfect luscious hair. None of that. 2, they would have no wings, unlike the rest of them. The rest of my characters, they all have at least one set of wings coming out of their head. But this one, nah, none of that. And the 3rd, I wanted them to have a slight pirate-inspired aesthetic, since, I'm basing this off of a parrot, and, for some reason pirates love parrots. With all that being decided, I started to make a proper sketch. Since I wanted their hair to be messed up while also not having them have signature wings popping out of their head just like the rest of them, I went with just making the hair itself be made of feathers. So instead of having normal hair with wings, their hair was just feathers. Very unkept and very messy due to the adventures they would go on. The clothing was very inspired by classic pirate-esque outfits with the white the white shirt with the ruffles on it, big boots, corset, belts, gold, all that stuff everywhere. I also put a random pattern on their right sleeve to break the symmetry a little bit, but also give more insight into their personality. Maybe this character has a love for painting and either spilled some paint on their clothes or they purposely made that pattern. I ended in this design, but it just didn't feel right yet. Something was off, so I went back and I changed it up just a little bit more to fit a narrative that I was starting to build for Ruse. I changed the colors a little bit as well as the clothing, so they still have the little pirate theme, but it's a little less, oh, I'm just a pirate, a little more fancy. And now here's the lore that I've come up with for Ruse. All this might change in the future, and it probably will, but here's where we got so far. Ruse, along with all the other bird people, are divine blessings from the gods. Or so that's what people always believed anyways. Those who are born with wings and feathers often never resemble their parents and are extremely rare. These divine blessings can be born at any time, but sometimes it'll be, 100 years before another one shows up, and sometimes they can be born only a few years apart. It seems to be random, but still extremely rare nonetheless. Once they are born, they are taken from their home and are to be sent to the castle of whichever kingdom they are born in. Now, different nations have different ways of raising these children and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they become a warrior of the nation and basically a symbol of, the nation, just like the peak. They represent them, basically. And they're basically made to serve the king and the people. These beings oftentimes have control over some element or some kind of ability that other species could only dream of having. So they're rare, they have these powers, and they're seen as blessings from the gods. So of course they're gonna want them to, like, fight for the kingdom and all that stuff. Ruse was a tad bit different though. Being born with no visible wings yet, Ruse lived with their parents until, the baby started popping feathers for hair. After a few more years, their power was finally showing, and Ruse could manipulate water. These blessings were strong, but Ruse seemed to be almost too strong. But that was a good thing, since it only meant the kingdom would be seen as a force not to be reckoned with. Eventually, Ruse's adult wings came in, which are wings they get when they're adults that are oftentimes on their back, but sometimes it could show up in other places. They're much bigger than the ones that are on their head. Ruse's power and status within the nation would only last so long. After they did an unspeakable act and paid the price for it, eventually, many years down the line, you'd hear the tales of the nation's biggest betrayer who attempted to drown the entire kingdom. So, something happened, and bro paid the price for it, and was either kicked out, on the run, but all we know is Ruse tried to drown the entire kingdom that he was born to protect. So now, this next part is kind of up in the air. I might change it, I might not. The idea is that these so-called blessings are in actuality just banished beings from the heavens, made to live their lives as mortals. They lose their memories and take the body of an unborn child, making their appearance, personality, and just everything different than what that child would have been. The child's soul is returned to the heavens while these banished beings take their place, essentially. For centuries, people have misinterpreted these banished divine beings as blessings to serve the nations. So, being sent down to live amongst the mortals is actually a punishment for, maybe pre-existing gods or just divine beings. It's a punishment, basically. But that's all I'm gonna say for the lore. I can't spoil the entire story yet. Mostly because I'm still writing it, and, I have to flesh out older characters that I have now that I kind of have this, little piece of the story. Because previous to this, if you asked me about any of my characters, I would have no idea what to say. But since creating Ruse, I kind of have ideas of how other characters would play into this world. But I'm still making that, and I want to redesign a few of my old ones. But this is their current day outfit, where they are basically on the run for their crimes and no longer serving the kingdom. The outfit is still inspired by pirates a little bit, but it's a little more fancy now, given the royalty past that they have. They have a bunch of gold bits and a nice diamond necklace, and overall, it's just, I tried to do a nice mix of, their past and current lifestyle, So, you can also see their scars from where their adult wings used to be. The price you pay when you try to drown people, it's crazy, guys. Don't do that. And that's basically Ruse in a nutshell. Oh yeah, they use all pronouns, by the way. The nations usually use he, since most divine blessings are male, while others sometimes use she or they. It's up to whatever people want to call them. They don't have a preference, so you can say Ruse, they, he, or she. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on what the person views them as. By the way, while I draw, I oftentimes listen to music that helps me inspire the character's lore and design. And I wish I could play some of those bits, but I can't. So this is just a nice list of songs that helped me come up with Ruse. And I do imagine very epic like animations to these, but I don't know how to animate, so you're never gonna see those. Anyways, thank you so much for all the love on the short. I really hope you like Ruse just as much as I do, and I know I left some of the story vague, like I left the most important thing, like, oh my god, they betrayed the kingdom they were sworn to protect. What do you mean? You know, I didn't get that far, so that's why I can't tell you. But I'm still working on it, so I guess you'll just have to subscribe if you want to know more. Classic YouTuber plug. And also, this is unrelated, but I'm thinking of making a Discord where you, as the viewer, can submit your own characters for me to draw and yap about. It would be like a videos like this, but where, you know, the yap session would be a little less, and I talk more about how I drew the drawing, I guess, something like that. And it'd probably be like 3 characters per video, something like that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. There might be a better way for people to submit. I'm not sure yet. But thank you for watching, and I hope you'll come back next time.